Welcome to Feeling Asian, a podcast where two Asians talk about their feelings. I'm Youngmi Mayer.
And I'm Brian Park. And it's been a while, but we are finally back with our solo episode.
It has been a while. I really like doing these. I'm really glad that we're doing this. Also, I feel
It's
like
raw chemistry,
raw.
baby.
Feeling Asian raw. Feeling
But we're
raw.
also, this is a special one because another international episode. You're coming at us live from Korea.
Yeah.
Jet lagged as fuck.
Well, I just keep like trying to, because obviously we've had to have meetings since I've been here, and I just keep trying to like gauge what the best time will be, and I'm always wrong. Like I feel like the last time we talked, I'm like, Brian, I'm waking up at 4 a.m. every day, so let's do all the meetings at 6 a.m. for me. So it's 6 a.m. right now, and then last 2 days I've been sleeping until like 9 a.m. randomly. And I'm like,
oh, so there's no rhyme or reason.
Yeah, at all. Tomorrow, next time I'm gonna be like, Brian, let's set the meeting for like 10 a.m. and I'm gonna be like dead asleep.
Are you? Do you have a ritual when it comes to adjusting to jet lag?
No, of course not.
So you're just raw dog the jet lag and hope for the best.
Yeah, I have to say though, eventually it just it does sort itself out. But I'm not one of those people that are like, I'm gonna take a 2-hour nap and then work out and then take a shower, and then whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but the Asia jet lag is fucking brutal though.
It's one of modern life's probably weirdest feelings. I mean, Sofia Coppola made an entire movie about it. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Famously with Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
Yeah. I was gonna make a Scarlett Johansson being Asian joke, but that's beyond hack in well-treaded territory. So
I was too.
Instead, I was just stating a fact.
Yeah. Brian, I was too. Did you hear my hesitation? I was like, yes, she was in that movie.
Yes, she was the lead of the Sofia Coppola art house film set in Japan.
Yes, she was. Both of us had like a moment where we were like, she is an actress that was in a movie.
Don't say it.
Don't say that joke. It's like making a Scarlett Johansson as Asian joke is like the former generations doing a my mom accent, Asian mom accent joke. Right.
And yet I tell myself, I'm like, I'm gonna stop making jokes about how my mom was mean to me. Yet every time I do, it's a fucking banger. Timeless.
Yeah, every time people losing their shit.
Oh my god.
We just have to wait maybe like 27 more months and then the Scarlett Johansson jokes will be back, I think.
No, it'll be back. It'll be back. We're fully in indie sleaze.
Yeah.
Diesel's back. Scarlett Johansson jokes are going to be back in 27 months.
Yeah, seriously. The greatest Korean of our generation, Scarlett Johansson. She's going to make an Asian comeback.
Honestly, I kind of want that. You heard it here first on Feeling Asian. Make Scarlett Johansson Asian again.
Make Scarlett Johansson Asian again. I agree. Those are funny jokes. Why did we go away from I feel like there was one joke that was so funny and we all laughed and then we all try to keep doing it and it went on a little too long. But I think it's time for them to come back. I think that the younger generation, that just graduated high school, they've never heard that joke. So
nope. Make Scarlett Johansson Asian again.
Yeah, they're gonna shit their pants laughing. It's like if
I'm down. I'm gonna screen print some hoodies. You want one?
Yeah. Make Scarlett Johansson Asian again. Make it okay to make those jokes again. I'm a hack comedian. Yeah. I only have like 3 jokes. I need that for my special.
Gone too soon.
Seriously.
Oh gosh. Wow. But for real though, it's been a while. This
Yeah.
takes us back to the OG Feeling Asian days when it was just us two trauma dumping on each other, and now we're just a pit stop for people's press tours. We're too booked.
Now we're just trauma dumping on celebrities who are like,
Ki
what?
Kwan.
Yeah, what did I agree to? What is this? Why? Who is this? Why is she crying? It's 5 minutes in, she's crying. Who is this?
Meanwhile, Youngmi, you've made our guest cry, and then I'm like, yeah, so tell us about your upcoming A24 movie. And they're like, oh, yeah, right.
You gotta get them. I get them good while they're not, while they don't expect it.
Oh, man.
We
But,
gotta. You know
this
what,
is,
Brian? You know
back to the
what?
hits, baby.
We have to get Scarlett Johansson on the podcast. That is like not even
oh,
joke about her being Asian. Just get her on the podcast, and then be like,
yo.
trick her into coming and being like, hey, do you want to talk about how people make this joke? You know?
Yo, that's my new
Yeah.
goal. Get Scarlett Johansson on the pod.
That would be so funny. Be like, welcome to Feeling Asian. Here's Scarlett Johansson, famous Asian. And just sneak that joke in there.
If you're a publicist listening to this and one of your clients is Scarlett Johansson, please DM us so we can make this happen.
You know what? That would save her in the Asian community if she did a joke where she was like the butt of the joke like that. That is a very Asian thing to do, right?
Oh my god. My number one target before was Lucy Liu, but I think now it's Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, we got to think big. The biggest Asian actress, not the. I hope Lucy Liu doesn't hear that.
Oh gosh.
I
She's
take it
not
back.
listening to this.
She definitely, yes, she listens to Lucy Liu listens to Feeling Asian.
That's how she starts every morning when she's being interviewed. She's gonna be on like an architectural digest, like, welcome to my home. Yeah, so that's how I start every morning, is a nice cup of espresso coffee over my kitchen island, and I like to put on the Feeling Asian podcast.
I love. That's so funny. Oh, speaking of people listening to Feeling Asian podcast, that are Asian, my mom has been like, because I'm in Korea, obviously. My mom has randomly been telling me that random members of my family are listening to the podcast, and I'm like, no.
Yo.
So I want to take this opportunity to say,
what is the reception?
She doesn't tell me that. She just says that people are listening, which is a threateningly. Like,
yo.
I just want to take this opportunity to say that everything I've ever said on this podcast has been a joke. I didn't mean it.
Dude. But honestly, I know that there are family members of mine who listen, and I just shelf it and try not to think about it.
Do you think they're listening because they're interested in what you're doing, or do you think they're like genuinely like, yeah, I want to learn from this podcast?
No, the truth of it is they're getting fodder. They're getting the tea and fodder on my family and me, and then they're going to weaponize that.
I see.
Like classic Korean family dynamics, baby.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, I think they are listening just to see what I'm up to, and then I like to think that they stick around because they like it.
Because the content is good.
Content is good.
Okay.
And if I have said anything badly about my family, it's a joke.
I was joking.
It's not real.
It's been a 3-year-long joke. It's a bit. I have no trauma from my childhood.
Everything is perfect.
Everything is great.
So far, this is my parents' favorite episode of this podcast.
They're like, we told you he was joking. Well, so wait, Brian, how are you feeling?
I am feeling. Usually I ask you first, but I am feeling. I've lately I've been very like zen, if that makes sense. My actions have been zen. So I feel quite grounded. Um honestly, it was off the heels of our recording with Bohan. So when this episode comes out 2 episodes ago, Bohan was talking about releasing his debut album, and then kind of thinking, well, now what?
Yeah.
And feeling uncertain. And I'm that sent me into a bit of a spiral, but it is exactly what I'm going through right now. I've sort of lightened the pedal. I have the weirdest analogies. I've taken my foot off the pedal a little bit when it comes to my acting and commercial work, and I'm trying to, I have a lot more time now because I'm not doing as many auditions and I'm not shooting things on set. So I am kind of lightly putting myself out into the job market, looking for a job, and shit's stressful. Shit is stressful. You see, when you pursue a creative career and you work as a freelancer for a long time, your resume doesn't make a lot of sense anymore.
There are some gaps in Brian's resume, people.
There's a gap. There is a gap in my resume, and but in reaction though, I think I've been taking good care of myself, as in like I don't feel confident in terms of how I present myself into the corporate job market. So I've been taking care of myself personally, and I feel good. It harkens back to your days of drinking lots of water. So like I've been working out like 5 days a week.
Whoa.
And I'm like sleeping
nice
around midnight at a reasonable hour. And yeah, breakthrough. I can handle it. I feel good. Overall I feel good, but I just feel like uncertain too. A lot of uncertainties going on right now.
Wait, so what kind of jobs are you looking for? Like, is there like specific kinds, or is it just sort of like?
So if you're listening, well, that's the thing. Like, I feel this disjunction between like, I think I'm a smart person. I'm adept and I like can apply myself well, and I think I would be good if I just picked something. But I have so many disparate interests that right now I'm having a hard time narrowing down like what it is exactly I would want to even do to apply like these comedy skills and all these other things that I've done like leading up to this point. And I guess it's like I just think that secretly I hope that there's this perfect job that I just haven't discovered yet. It's hiding underneath a rock and I just haven't turned that stone over. That it's like, oh, you have this really intricate and unique work experience. Well, this job is tailored perfectly for you and you're going to get health insurance and all these great benefits with it.
Yeah.
And the reality is that doesn't exist, like jobs are for most people, jobs are just jobs. Like it's just work and you derive fulfillment outside of it. And for many years I've devoted so much of myself to acting and stand up and comedy, and this, especially in the early aughts of this podcast, like it was so much work on both of our ends because we just didn't know what we were doing. But right now, like I've ironed out so many parts of my life that the amount of time it takes it's not as bad as it used to be. And I don't know, really. I feel that I would love to like retain some level of creativity.
Mm-hmm.
I have been thinking like, up top, I was like, okay, maybe I could do like creative strategy for an ad agency or something. That seems like a nice synthesis between, business and corporate and like a fully like creative job. And when I look at these like applications or and what they're asking for, I get really insecure and stressed out, because then I find like, oh, I feel like I have all these skills, but it just doesn't translate
fit into
well
that. Yeah.
on a paper,
Yeah.
Like,
I know what you mean.
It's like a lot of these jobs, especially like creative corporate jobs, it's about like connecting dots and telling stories, and it's what we're both very good at.
Yeah.
It's what we do. Like, it's so much of comedy is about storytelling and making disparate connections and being able to like sell something. In our case, it's like sell content in a way that is appetizing to a general public.
Yeah. But those companies don't know how to. It
doesn't fit.
They don't know
on a resume.
It's almost like those corporate jobs don't know how to tap into that, and so they're missing out on our talents, because they're like, you have had to go to college for
Right.
communications and business for 9 years, and it's like, that's not what's gonna make your TikToks popular. Like, you're not
right.
They're like, well, then you can do the TikTok account for Mercedes-Benz, and it's just like, y'all are not understanding, like, yeah, it's like this mismatch of like the corporate world and them not really knowing, and then you're right, like you having talents, and it's always like, I feel
Totally.
like, don't you think it's so funny that the whole corporate world, they're like, them trying to be relevant in social media is hiring like a 19-year-old to do like the Duolingo TikTok or something, and it's just like, this is what billions of dollars, like, that's your answer. And then on Twitter it's like Arby's being like, who wants my meat? And then it's like Burger King like being like, shut the fuck up. It's like, what is going on here?
Right. No, I totally know what you're saying, because that is like a separate lane unto itself.
Yeah.
That's like a separate game that people play, of like
Yeah.
jumping through those hoops to obtain certain resume worthy language to then like put on your resume. And so I'm kind of going through the motions of that, of like, how do I feel like I need to like bridge that gap,
Yeah.
And and another part of it is like, I miss the stability of like a non-freelance stable corporate job, because when I look back to when I had a corporate job and I was doing stand-up, I think I had more creative output, because like the time I had to dedicate to it was more precious.
You've said that before.
And
you said that it helps you, because some people, they're like, I remember we were talking to Jenny Aramoto, and she was like, she quit her job at Google, and like we were talking about that in her episode, like, it's almost, and then I feel like we've talked about this a lot with our other guests,
right,
who are like, oh, I'm gonna quit my 9 to 5 to be more creative, and then they find that, like, for some people I think that's way more helpful, and then other people, they find like that 9 to 5 balance inspiring creatively. So that makes sense.
So it's kind of what I'm going through. I'm just like, it's frustrating though, because the creative, like, it's just so, I feel like it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, but like, I feel like at least in American society, it's like, it's so black and white and binary. You're either like, you're gonna quote unquote give up on your creative dreams and like seek stability and do something corporate, or you're gonna reject that entire notion and then pursue your quote unquote dreams and do the wholly creative thing. And I feel like the longer you stay in one lane or the other, it feels almost impossible to like cross that bridge. There's always exceptions, and there's people who do it well, but it feels like at times I feel like it's almost impossible. And then I get into like, damn, like what have I done, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so this is reminding me a lot about, I think, this general like vague like dissatisfaction with the options of work is something a lot of people are feeling, you know, especially in these days. Like even people who are like, oh, I'm gonna become whatever, a doctor or whatever, they find themselves in that line of work, and they're just like, it's not satisfying. Doctor is kind of an extreme example, but you know, like people who are like,
I understand
whatever, tech or whatever they go into, and then there's like a general dissatisfaction with their work. But then also, you know, in terms of being a creative, even if you're a successful creative, there's like this article about that woman that acted in Euphoria. And people were like clowning her because she said that if she doesn't work for 6 months, she can't afford to live. And they're like, you have a $3 million house. Like, what are you talking about? But I actually read it and I was like, no, this is actually really interesting, because she was talking about how she's not from wealth. So unlike her like peers who can just get money from their family, she's like, I can't get money. And they're like, well, you make millions of dollars. And then the person that wrote the article kind of like broke down the cost of being an actor. Like she has to pay like 15 different people. And you know, like people were like, yeah, she has like a $3 million house, but it's like a $3 million house is just kind of like a normal house in LA. It's not even like quote unquote a wealthy house, you know? And then there is that like whole thing where if you're an actor, you have to have that sort of lifestyle. Like you can't, if you're a famous actor, you can't really live in a fucking apartment complex, you know? Like you can, but there's like an expectation for you not to. So I think that even, this is a little different than what you were talking about, but even if you are going to pursue this creative pursuit and then become successful, it's like, even though that's like your dream, there's going to be this like vague dissatisfaction with when you actually quote unquote make it. Cause it's like, you still have to like work like a dog to like, you know, keep your head above water.
Right.
So it's
right.
like,
No, I totally get it.
And I think people see that and they're like, oh, I don't want to do any of it. What do I do? Right? I don't know.
It is like, it's another thing that I've felt is, and I've met people recently who are doing the thing where they have like a corporate boring job and then they do their creative practice on the side.
Yeah.
And their reasons for that is like that way the creative thing can stay pure. Because like once you make money off of it, then it starts to feel like work and it like sucks out the enjoyment from making it.
Yeah.
Because there's different stakes are attached to it. And I don't know. I just think I want to like go back to that feeling and inject that stability, because I find that that with my income reliant on creative projects, it's like it just feels like work. And at times I felt like that. regardless of what you do, it's all like the same end destination of just like the same stresses, except like I'm not stressed in my business casual clothes sitting in a, you know, like an aero chair in an air conditioned office. Like I'm stressed in my room trying to finish a self tape and like memorize my lines, and I'm sweaty.
And then it's like the thing that you love now becomes this shitty thing. Yeah, I totally see that, Brian. That makes a lot of sense to me. And so, I think you should follow your
so it's kind of what I've been going through, hot off the heels of our little Bohan episode. But what's up with you? How are you feeling?
Well, kind of, I guess like something similar with me is that I guess like, you know, tied to what you're saying is, you know, Mission closed, the restaurant, one of the other restaurants that we had in Brooklyn. And, you know, I was getting like a financial stake in that because I am part of the owner. I mean, it was like minimal, but it was like, it was
Still.
just like something to make me feel a little bit more secure, right?
Right.
But then I also started making a little bit of money doing creative stuff, which is very new. I would say last summer is when I started making a little bit of money, but not like a livable. I'm like, now I sound like the person. I don't want to sound like the person in that article, like the $3 million house. like to be very honest, it's like not a livable wage. Like it's not an amount that can cover my rent and all my bills and food. Do you know what I mean? It's like
of course.
But I started making a little bit of money from it, and at the same time I lost like that other minimal wage that I was receiving from the restaurant. And so when that happened last month, I sort of like kicked it into high gear in terms of like social media. I don't know, presence, right? Which I'm sure people noticed. I was just like posting all the time, and I was just like, well, I created all this content over the span of the last few years. Like, why not just post it and just like try to make it more visible?
For sure.
And you know, I did it all with this idea of now I really just need a lot more work, you know?
Yeah.
And then, it's weird because social media has like been basically the only thing that's brought me an income from doing comedy, you know? And so putting energy into that is like creating income for myself. And then, you know, since I've been out here, I've been posting about my trip in Korea, and which isn't comedy, but it kind of is because I'm like trying to be funny and like telling my story about visiting Korea. And then I was like, oh, this is like something I enjoy doing right now. Like right now I don't feel like doing comedy skits, but this to me is enjoyable. So I've just been like, every time I think about something, I just sort of post it.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of like, I guess that's been my reaction in terms of feeling that like insecurity, in terms of like financial insecurity, just being like, okay, now I have to like really
kick it into high gear.
Yes. Like I have to make sure that this is a viable way for me to create income, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Which, you know, like what you were saying that's like what's draining all the fun out of it for you. And I'm scared of that too.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be in a place where I'm like dreading posting. Like, can you imagine me like trying to make a TikTok when I like do not want to do it? So I always want to make sure that what I'm posting is something I genuinely love creating. So I've been doing these like funny videos about Korea, which I really enjoy doing. And, you know, just trying to find the way of, it's like kind of like what you were saying, like trying to find a way of doing this art where it feels very good doing it and people like it. And hopefully that creates income, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It is, Well, I never asked you about the mission thing. Like, how does that... Were you obviously like you mentioned, you know, was it like, how did it feel? Was it super sad? Like, because you grew, I mean, it's such a big part of it was a big part of your life for so long.
It was very sad. I think because it happened right before I was going to come on this trip, and I was like psychologically preparing for this trip and all that, that I was kind of like in a way putting off processing it. But I remember during that time I did feel really, really sad, and then part of me was trying not to like deal with it right then. But I feel it feels weird because I mean, now looking back at that era of my life, it's so different than where I am now, but it was like a huge part of my life for 10 years, you know? Like working on this brand with my ex-husband, but then also not really fully being allowed to this is like this might be like a way too strong of a way to describe this, but you know, it was my ex-husband's like creative thing, right? Like speaking of creative things, like it was his 100% his brainchild, and it was like a brilliant idea, and obviously he received so much attention for it, which was rightfully earned because it's a wonderful concept. And you know, my role was to be like supportive of him in his expression of his creativity.
Right.
And so even though I did put a lot of energy and like quote unquote work into it, I had nothing to do with it. I had nothing to do with the creative process of that restaurant. I had nothing to do with how the restaurant was run, you know, and I think in a lot of ways, you know, not to be like critical of my ex-husband, but he really didn't want me to be involved in it. Like he was very like, like not stingy, but like he was like, this is my thing, don't touch my thing, you know? And he was like, your job is to like support me. And but he was like, I came up with this concept and it's my thing. And I always felt kind of like, I agree. Like it's not really my creative baby. Like my work in it has just been supporting you, right?
Right.
And so yeah, for a long time when I started doing comedy, and I feel like in the beginning that whole history was way more like people knew me for that, like being Danny's ex-wife.
Yeah.
Which has shifted now, which people don't really know that about me anymore, but
right.
Because in the beginning that's like what everyone knew about me, I would like purposely never talk about it. And if anyone asked me, I would be like just shut it down. Like, oh yeah, I was married to Danny, well, you know, like that.
Right.
And so I think I'm kind of still in that headspace a little bit. So I think it was a conscious choice for me not to talk about the closing of the restaurant that much on here, because for so long I had to like distance myself from that identity, you know, to create my own like, whatever. So yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. It's like I don't know. You know how like it's like those insects. What is it? Like a butterflies. You know, like that cocoon shell is your life like 10 years ago. You know.
Yeah.
But I totally get how it's still a part of you and part of your identity, but I understand the reasons for trying to distance yourself. And especially now, like I met you at a time when I think you just started doing comedy, but it's crazy to think like, it's pertinent to this conversation because it's like you've had two different lives almost, you know, like I can't imagine what you were like in this previous life when you were in like restaurants and hospitality, you know, because I've always like sort of known you as a comedian.
Yeah, I really had to like cut the association, but also it was easy for me to do so because I was never really like actually a part of it, you know, like I wasn't. No one ever was like, oh, mission Youngmi mayor. It was like, you know, it was like I was like adjacent to it, and I just literally never had any creative input. Like I can't take any credit for it, right? So it's like it's like losing something that like I never really had, you know. It's like that feeling.
Yeah, I get that. But what the fuck? You're in Korea right now. I have well, how's that been? Are you getting weird looks from ajumas for your pink hair like you predicted?
I have to say, I'm very proud of Koreans because they have cooled it on the weird hair color stares in public. No one's given me shit about my hair.
Progress.
No one, because like back in the old days, I'm not even exaggerating, like an old ajumma would chase you down the street and be like, what's wrong with you? Stop doing that to your hair, and like hit you. I'm not even exaggerating, Brian. You know that's real.
No, 100%.
Like, what's going on with you? You're crazy, like that. But no one has bothered me about my hair. No one's even really looked at me that much.
Oh.
Yeah. One person asked me if I was wearing a wig, but that was it. But
We honestly have Scarlett Johansson to thank for this. She's
Thank
out here
you.
doing the work.
Representation. She wore a
What's a little
wig in a
pink
movie
hair?
once. Yeah.
She's a martyr for all of us.
She really kicked down the door for the rest of
Yeah.
us.
Scarlett Johansson and Ollie London out here showing us that it's okay to be weird and Asian.
Yes, thank you. Ollie London. He identifies as Korean. Well, I think I don't even know why people are like being really chill about my hair.
Yeah.
And I think it's maybe just like my general appearance, like now that I'm just like kind of a bitch. Like when I'm out in public, I'm just like, don't fucking talk to me. You know, like that kind of face.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what, I don't know. No one's been bothering me about my hair.
Do you feel, but looking from your social media, it seems like it's been good so far. Or do you feel nourished? Is it nourishing for the soul to be back in Korea?
Yes, it's been fine. It hasn't been that traumatizing.
Yet.
I don't know, the fermented foods are doing a number on my bowels though. They're tap dancing all over I have like a general discomfort in my, but also that could be a lot of things. I think it's the fact that, you know, the jet lag, like my body is like, why are we eating so much food from at a time that feels like 2 a.m., you know, 2 a.m. to,
right.
you know, and also, you know, a lot of other things like, I don't know. It just, also because I'm eating so much. Because like in New York, I mean, I obviously eat food, but it's like, you know, when you live by yourself and you're just making yourself a goddamn salad for lunch because you don't want to spend $95, you know, like that's how I eat in New York. I'll make like a little thing for myself and I'll eat it. But here I'm like going out and eating like just full-blown meals because I want to eat
so
everything.
Much food.
Yeah, so much food. Just so much. Like 3 times a day, I'll just have the largest meal known to mankind. And then I'm like, my stomach hurts. Like,
how's Mino liking it?
he is having a lot of fun. I mean, he's, we haven't really done that many fun things yet because the first week we were just chilling. But we're going to go to Latte World, which is an amusement park, on Tuesday, so like in 3 days.
Yo.
And tomorrow, guess what? We're gonna go to Busan. We're gonna take the train to Busan, everyone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hyundai.
Wow. You're doing the you're doing the living the movie experience. Train to Busan.
Yeah, train to Busan. It's we're taking
Dude.
we're gonna take the bullet train because Mino's never been, obviously. I've never been in Korea either.
On the KTX.
Yeah, I think I've taken one bullet train
Most
in
uncomfortable
Shanghai.
seats ever.
Really? I don't think I've been on the bullet train.
They're so small, but the train is crazy fast, so it's awesome.
Yeah, I think Mino's gonna love that.
When I was like Mino's age and whenever I was in Korea, I'd always feel so self-conscious because I was so much darker than everyone. And everyone would comment on it.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, I know you're from America because you're so freaking dark." Because I played tennis and I was like tan as hell, so I'm like, "Oh, okay. I'm different." That's how I felt the entire time.
It's so weird. I know we've obviously talked about this, but I just find it because I made like this video where I bought foundation at the makeup store and the 2 colors were like white or dead. And I got dead because it was less white. And I put it on and I was just, it looked like I was wearing like kabuki theater makeup, you know, like geisha makeup.
Yo.
And I just looked bad. Like it made my face look like shit, kind of. Like I looked old and my face looked fluff. I don't know. When will Koreans be free from the terror that is light skin obsession?
I don't think ever. They're
Never.
only getting stronger.
Yeah, they are. They're really
the
like
grip Korean skincare has on the world is it's everywhere. It's
I know.
unavoidable.
Anyway,
But yeah, it is crazy to go because my girlfriend goes like I'll follow her into Sephora and just
Yeah.
like whenever she needs to get skincare stuff.
mhm.
I look back on, man, I would say maybe even recently, it's like 5 years ago.
Mhm.
My mom would gift me all of these like Korean skincare things,
Yeah.
but I'm so like America pilled that I just assumed that it was
Not good.
worse quality.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, this sucks. I don't want to use this. I want to
Yeah.
use my want to use my Cetaphil and my
Cetaphil.
Vaseline.
My
And,
Neutrogena. Yeah.
right, but every time I go into Sephora now, it's just a reminder that my mom was right all along.
Well, this is the interesting thing about Korean.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, yet again. The interesting thing about Korean skincare that I think people might not really know is that it's very affordable because Korean people buy so much skincare that the
Right.
cost level isn't like 고급, which is luxury level. Like for
Okay.
a moisturizer, you know, in America, it's very common for people to spend $65, right? For a moisturizer.
Right.
But here it's
Sure,
like,
sure.
it's most places it's like $18 because, and it's fine. It's like good. It's just as good because the quality is just good here. But skincare just doesn't cost that much here because people are just like buying it, like tons of it all the time.
Wait, is that what you're going to do? Have you already thought ahead on what you're going to smuggle back into the States?
A bunch of skin. Well, the serums that I use that are $30 in the States, that's not even that expensive. I just found it and it was like $14. So I was like, I'm gonna buy a bunch of this. By the way,
So you can just create a nice side hustle here.
Yeah.
Just import. You're going to become a Korean skincare importer.
By the way, I know so many. I have such a good eye for this, but you know, there's like these cute little boutiques in America. I've seen at least 2 just in my neighborhood, like in Lower East Side, where I know
Yeah.
the people are bringing back clothes from Korea. Like I can just see it, because there's like all
Dude.
these like very high fashion, like Dongdaemun, like shopping area
Yes.
where they're
Yes.
they're really well made, well designed clothes, but they're like really cheap.
So competitively priced. Yeah.
Competitively priced, but they look really like luxury. It'll look like a Margiela suit or something, but it'll be like $30 or something, right? And people
And you
buy
know
a
that
bunch.
they're getting that shit for like
Yes.
$5.
No, but in the Lower East Side, you'll see these little boutiques, and you'll see it, and it'll be like $350 for like whatever, a blouse. Because that's what it looks like it costs. But I fucking know exactly where they got that shit. They got that at
Well,
Dongdaemun.
They're recouping the cost of all of the stress and anguish that comes with having to,
Shop.
roll your suitcase through customs,
Yes.
even though you declared zero, even though it's bulging, about to bust open with all of the goods that you're smuggling in.
What you got in your suitcase? Yeah, I bought 35 of the same blouse because I liked it. No, I thought you were gonna be like, you're paying for the luxury of not having to talk to the people that work at those stores, because they are the worst at body shaming. Like the shopping in Korea is so good, but I literally don't shop here because I don't want to be called like fat and dark. Like every time I
Oh.
go to a Korean clothing store, I'm like, oh, these are so pretty. And like somebody will run out from the back like, don't put it on, you're too fat. Like they will be like, you can't, we don't have your size here. Like that's, okay, if you've been to Korea, you know that this is true. People are going to think that I
Oh,
made
for
this
sure.
up.
For sure.
Like they'll be
No,
like,
it's for real.
don't try it on.
Like I'm like an
Emotional
extra
damage.
extra large in Korea.
Yeah. And sometimes I remember this woman would be like, oh, are you from a hot country? Like, 'cause she was trying to say that I'm really dark. And I was like, you have no power here, bitch. I don't think it's bad to be dark. Like, I know you think you did something by saying that, but I was like, I'm from New York. Like, get the fuck out of my face.
No, but
Yeah.
But real talk, even though these LES boutiques are charging $350 for like, cheap marketplace
yeah.
Korean clothing,
Overall,
it's still a net positive for American society because
absolutely.
Can we just talk about how American, because I used to shop for clothes for my niece and nephew, and I'm like, dude, why is all American clothing just like a shitty whatever cotton like pajama set, and then it'll be the ugliest graphic that you've ever seen in your goddamn life, and it'll say like number one son with like
seriously.
footballs on it.
Seriously. Daddy's girl. I'm actually gonna go shopping, so I know this one place that's like my little secret neighborhood in Seoul that I know all about. It has like the best prices, but it's like always blows my mind.
Look at you gatekeeping on.
I'm not gatekeeping. I'm gonna make a video about it so people know. I'm bringing it to the people. But it's so nuts because when I go there, I'm just like looking at these clothes and everything's like $25, and it all looks like Margiela. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is bonkers. But I'm gonna go there.
Yeah. Oh. For those of you tuning onto YouTube, looks like King Mino has just woken up from his slumber.
Yeah, Mino just woke up.
Anyways, I think that should wrap it up for this episode. What a journey we've been on. A solo episode. It's been a hot minute. And look at us, Feeling Asian podcast, talking about career pivots and Korean children's clothing.
Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm like, I really love making this Korean content. Oh, also, Brian, speaking of making content, I have to post. Remember, we went to go eat gopchang for the listeners. Brian and I went to go eat gopchang barbecue, and I was like, I'm gonna make a video of Brian having this because he never had it since you were a kid, right? So like you kind of forgot what it tasted like.
Yeah, like here and there. Yeah.
So I made it. So I was like, oh, I have to post this. Brian's first time that he remembers eating gopchang as an adult.
I hope it's usable.
No, it was very good. You were being like very like, this is good.
I was like acting like I'm a porn star. Yummy. This is good.
And
just we the worst acting.
I'm enjoying this. I don't know about you, but I'm enjoying this. Intestines. Who knew?
It was legit good. I liked it. But yeah, for our listeners, where can they find your hot Korea content?
Well, I'm making these I'm trying to make daily videos on my TikTok, Youngmi Mayor, if you want to see, my journey. But I am posting them on Instagram, YM Mayor. How about you, Brian?
Follow me on socials at It's Brian Park. I've got more writing about to be published, so follow there. I'll post links about it.
That's exciting.
But yeah, for those of you who've tuned in this far, thank you for listening. And yeah, about my earlier conversation, if you've got any, if you've made career pivots before,
yeah,
my DMs are open.
And if you know how to get Scarlett Johansson on here,
our DMs are open.
What if we got her on here and we just did it like an hour of her being Asian jokes nonstop until she started crying?
I'm down.
I'm down. Bullying Scarlett Johansson. Right.
That's it, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all here next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.